your wife was here today, what would you say to her?
I miss you.
We were together for about a year and a bit, and we met in 2012. This was while I was still studying in Australia, and I was finishing up my post-grad. You know, I said hi, but he was a little bit unfriendly at the time. Just like, you're a really great-looking person. You've got a face for radio. And I just went, what the hell?
She was actually introduced by my uncle between his friend, like staying in Singapore, long-term past. But then the daughter is Chinese, and I flew over to meet her, and we progressed from there. Okay, I get married at 2006, right?
Actually, it was very short. I was together with my ex-partner for only about 6 to 7 months officially. We actually met through a cell group in church. Then we just started chatting. Because we saw each other every week.
She is sweet, beautiful smile, right? She liked to do simple dishes, waiting for me to come home for dinner.
He worked in a bakery, and I wanted to get some dessert or cake. So I kind of asked him, like, what's nice in your shop and stuff like that.
So what was your first impression of him?
Well, actually, to be honest, right, he is quite sloppy. Didn't really make much of an impression, but he's very funny. Like, his laughter is very funny.
Turns out we had quite a lot in common in terms of like musical tastes and like the subcultures that we follow. So we ended up hitting it off.
When and how did your partner pass away?
Okay, yeah, so this was about in January 2016. Actually, normally, like, he would stay over at my house on most nights. And on 27th of January, which is the night before he passed, I was in Malaysia for work. And by then, he had already made some plans with his friends, so we weren't going to meet for that night. And then, so that was it. That was that night. Somehow, usually in the mornings, like if we're not together, he will text me and, like good morning and stuff like that. But somehow that particular morning, there wasn't any text. So I was a bit like, oh, okay, what happened? But he did tell me like who he was going to meet the night before. But I didn't have that particular person's contact. So I reached out to him through Facebook Messenger. And then he called me back and he said something like, John like wasn't feeling well and he passed out in the toilet. So I was like in complete shock. Yeah.
So what exactly happened?
Oh, okay. So after that, they said that he had myocarditis, like inflammation of the heart muscle. So then he had a cardiac arrest and he collapsed. He fell forward and hit his face or something. But anyway, then the heart just stopped and the doctors couldn't revive him.
So I had left Australia, and it was 2013. And we were trying to actually work out the whole LDR thing. I got a message from one of his friends, our mutual friends, and he just kept on saying, "I'm so sorry." And I just kind of went, wait, what's going on, And so he had basically finished coming home from a house party. A car smashed into him. He had enough time in terms of his reaction time to actually push his friend out of the way. So he took the entire impact of the car. What makes it even worse was that as the car was trying to emergency brake as well, a second car crashed into the first car. And he was basically pinned down underneath it. And when I got that message, I ran out of the house into the garage, and I just kind of like my legs just kind of buckled and I collapsed. And my mom rushed at me and asked me what was going on. And I basically said, something bad's really happened.
I don't even have a chance to say good morning or goodbye to her because she was still asleep at home, and I managed the older one, right, to bring the older one to school. She is just walking over to another block where she just want to find, where she found a part-time job, right, which is just opposite the where we stay, crossing the road. So it's just that it's quite a big road over there where she just crossed and get hit. Right? I don't even know it until it's probably around 5+. Right? I think the hospital gave a call saying that this lady is in the hospital now and is in a very critical situation.
So when you finally got to see her in the ICU, was it?
Yes.
How did you feel?
I still remember the last face that I see her, where most of her body was swollen up. I don't even know how am I able to go and hold her. Probably is lost. I'm lost.
It was odd because, you know, when you're used to seeing someone living, there's always that joy, there's always that positivity in their energy. And then you just see them there on the table. And there's blood in their hair, there's cuts across their face. In some way, they're almost barely recognizable, but you know that it's them, which makes it even worse.
I think, okay, so there's different phases, right? Because initially when it first happened, first you're in shock. And then I'm like, okay, God, where's your miracle, right? Like, why cannot, like a bit angry, but also like because you have to settle the wake and everything, and basically everyone's still like very concerned, right? So they'll keep checking up with you and everything.
You're wondering how to go on. Right? Too many things in my mind that you don't even know how to handle it. You need people to calm you down. You need people to help you in every step. Also through one of my auntie, where every day she follow up phone calls on me and make sure what I do is in normal, right? Remind me of every day what I should do, remind me of putting a smile, right? And also remind me that don't close my door. The day when you really need help, open up and let the help come to you.
Overnight, your routine has changed because, you know, you used to have this person in your life, and now, like, everything's just 180 degrees change, right? And everything's so quiet now. There's nothing, you know, you wake up, there's no one to like call or talk to.
It's common with trauma that you go through various stages of denial. You know, you'd think that you'd be completely okay, and you think you'd have everything under control. But sometimes all it takes is like a fleeting moment. You could be drinking your coffee in the morning. You could be taking a shower. You could be just interacting with your friends. And suddenly, for some reason, a memory would just come back. And then it just overwhelms you. And for me, that's what happened. Every time I thought I'd have it under control, or I'd think it'd be okay, and it'd be all right again, this hollow and sinking feeling will come, and it's completely unstoppable.
You know, this tragedy had any impact on how you live your everyday life? Like,
Yes, it changes me a lot. right? This also reminded from my auntie, right? Which she remind me that she was reminded that now you are different, right? You need to remember that there's two young ones that need you, right? So please, everything you do, slow down your pace. Slow down, right? Even when you're driving, when you're working, right? Take another step backward, right?
But I think slowly over time, because I gave myself like the chance and the time to actually grieve, right? Like just recount all the memories and everything. Even if you have to do it behind closed doors, I think it is very important to actually, let it out, like process it. You really have to process it before you actually can move on. If not, if you think that, just by burying it and not thinking about it, it will actually come back up later on and you realize that you actually haven't gotten over it yet.
I try not to avoid them because usually avoidance builds up that level of toxicity within yourself, and it really isn't healthy in the long run, especially if you're hoping to try to overcome this kind of trauma. So if I feel it coming, I'll try to excuse myself and deal with that trigger. Usually it's bawling my eyes out. And like once, that episode happens, I'll try to calm myself down, wash my face, whole 9 yards, and then go back to whatever routine that I was doing.
Sometimes I may feel a little bit empty, right? When the children are asleep, right, you will feel a little bit helpless, especially if you have gone through a tough day. But then now I have no one to talk to, right? I could only wait till Sunday. My group's members are available, that we sit down and have a cup of coffee that ease my stress off.
I realized that in retrospect, talking about it really was a helpful avenue, even though it was an absolute struggle sometimes to just voice out like the emotions, because it was inherently painful. No one really truly gets over loss. I mean, it gets better and it hurts a lot less, but that does not mean that the memory or the sentiment behind it is not there. For me, I found that, trying to re-socialize, just get back into contact with my friends, and also engaging in like team activities, sports, exercise. These things all inherently helped me get over it.
Also, I think what made me feel better about everything was that, like his family, like his sisters and his friends, like actually told me that, John left this world when he was like the happiest in his life. So I think that made me not have any regrets as well, because I knew it was a very good time of his life for him.
Is there anything you would like to say to him?
If I could say anything to him, would be, I love you. You're still a douchebag. That's never going to change. And thank you for showing me that big hearts do exist, good people do exist, and that I hope that it's possible to actually find a social filter.
I miss you. The kids misses you. They need you more than me.
Just continue doing what you like and trust that, at the end of the day, everything will be okay. Because for him, he actually gave up his stable career in the Air Force to actually go learn pastry making in France. I think at some point in time he did question, is this going to be able to support a family and stuff like that? But I think, you know, he's already given up so much. He had already given up so much, and I think, yeah, I would just tell him to just continue doing what he likes.